Thank you.
Very good. You're lucky to get that. Come on, behind you, Chuck. Quick, get a bucket off.
About a month, I guess.
We got to the hotel. You starting at 8?
You telling her about karate?
Oh, she was just asking me a little bit about it. You want to take a lesson while we're down at the gym?
No, thanks. I think I'll stick to wrestling.
Oh, wait a second. You dropped this.
Oh, thank you.
Here, let me carry that for you.
Well, thanks.
The Adventures of Ozzie and Harriet, later called The Nelsons, was a situation comedy that made Rick Nelson the heartthrob of thousands of teenagers throughout the world. The show ran in primetime television for 14 years and was cleverly used to launch Rick Nelson as a singer.
Hold this for me, will you, Dave? Hey, that's pretty good. Oh, thanks.
I like your outfit, too. It's not exactly Ivy League, but it may catch on.
You're just jealous.
While episodes of The Nelsons gather dust in the archives of television stations, Rick Nelson's singing career beats on 20 years after the last show went to air. It's been 3 years since Rick Nelson was in Australia, and now he's back for another series of concerts. Well, Rick, what's been your secret? Why have you lasted the distance? You have a career which has spanned a lot of years.
The main ingredient would probably be, well, that I enjoy what I do. You know, that's a basic thing, you know. And I think the longevity has to do with probably being seen on television for so long, and people kind of feel that they grew up, well, they did, you know, grew up with the show, and they feel like they know you. Was it nice to work with your parents? Not many children get that opportunity. Well, it was great. You know, it could have worked both ways, but fortunately it worked out that it even made us closer.
That's what you think.
The Nelsons was very much a family affair. Everyone played themselves. Initially, the show went to air on radio, and when it made the transition to television, it was an instant success. Repeats are still screened in the States. Do you ever watch the reruns of The Nelson Family?
Yeah, well, they're really like watching home movies for me, you know, because, you know, I really like the earlier shows. I think they're the funniest to me, you know, when we were little kids, really, because my dad wrote the show and directed it and produced it, so it was really totally his thing and his values and everything on the show.
Okay, who wants a punch in the nose?
Pa, what are you doing here?
Well, your mother said you might need some help. What's this about a punch in the nose? You heard me. I'll give you a punch in the nose. You do and I'll bleed all over you.
Whose idea was it to launch your singing career using the show?
Well, it was really, it was an afterthought, really, to do it, because I had just recorded my first record, and my dad came up to me and said, well, why don't you do the show, do the record at the end of the show, you know, and we'll get some good promotion for it. And so I said, sure. So we did it. But nobody realized the power that television had, really. It had become like a formula kind of thing to do, you know. And so all of a sudden, like in 3 weeks, you know, the record did real well, so right away.
From that day on, Rick Nelson never looked back, with smash hits like Travelin' Man, Hello Mary Lou and Bebop Baby. But then in the early 60s, British artists like the Beatles started to chip away at his American success. In 1972, Rick Nelson wrote a song about the demise of his career. Ironically, it was a song that took him back to stardom.
I went to a garden party to reminisce with my old friends, a chance to share old memories.
For me, really, that song was more of a reminder for myself, you know, to not go against my initial reaction on something, because it never works out. For me, I'm not very good at doing that, you know. And I kind of talked myself into doing that particular show. It was a rock and roll revival in Madison Square Garden. And, you know, the line, you know, you can't please everyone, you got to please yourself. You know, you have to really, I have to feel good about myself before I can make anybody else happy, you know. So if anything, like I say, it wasn't like a sour grape song or negative, really. It was just a reminder to myself.
After that experience at Madison Square Gardens, Rick Nelson has pleased himself, following his instincts rather than doing what might be expected of him. And that's why he believes he's survived.
I don't go from record to record as far as being down or up or down or out, you know. Like my whole career has been one big comeback, I guess, you know.
You can't please everyone, so you got to please yourself.